Thank you, Benny, and thank you, JLF, for giving us this opportunity. I believe it is Nandakumarji's first occasion in JLF. So, as a friend of JLF and a long-time participant, I welcome you. I hope we're going to have a very fruitful, enlightening, and possibly somewhat maybe provocative session also. Why not? So the topic for today is National Selfhood in Science, because that is the title of Nandakumarji's new book. Before we begin, I would like to congratulate you, Nandakumarji, on successfully running the Pravaha for such a long time. I've been in some of your programs, and it is also, of course, the 100th year of the foundation of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, of which you're a Pracharak. You have actually dedicated your life to the service of society and India through the Sangh. So I would like to congratulate you as well as the Sangh on completing 100 years. And it had a very modest beginning, I think, on Vijayadashmi in 1925 in Nagpur, when Dr. Keshav Baliram Hedgewar brought together a group of friends who wanted to really change India and wanted to build a very strong Indian society and nation in the last decades of the colonial rule in India. But the book is not about RSS. This is the first thing I want to say. Nor is it about Hindutva. It is actually about science and nationalism. So the first question I wanted to ask you, Nandakumarji, is what made you write this book? What was your inspiration?
First of all, at the outset itself, let me use this opportunity to thank organizers of JLF to give such an opportunity to present my book. For the last 4 or 5 days, there were so many authors, speakers, thinkers who were all participating here and presenting their ideas as vicharaks. Let me quote one of the famous quotes of Atal Bihari Vajpayee that आप सभी लोग विचारक और मैं प्रचारक हूँ, ऐसा मैं इधर आया हूँ. And another thing which I would like to present you before in the beginning itself is that such a thought, such a book with nationalism as its main content, generally it is not being taken for discussion in the platforms. So it has been accepted to be discussed here. That also is a great thing which I would like to congratulate and also express my thanks for all. Okay, Makarandji, thanks for you also for interviewing me. See, your question is about what provoked me or tempted me, inspired me to write this book. Actually, this book is an expansion of one of the chapters which I wrote in my previous book. See, during the 75th year of Bharat's independence, first of all, I wrote a book on Bharat at 75. That was a small book, and many of the readers and our workers, co-workers and friends have asked me to make it bit big. The 75 years of Bharat and also the independence struggle cannot be confined or limited to a 400 pages book, but still I tried and put that book. I made that book. One of the chapters was about science and Bharat's independence struggle. Many of the people may be surprised that as far as Bharat's independence struggle is concerned, many are thinking that it is all about Satyagraha and also Kranti. Two aspects are there in the independence struggle. But I think our independence struggle was an integral one, a comprehensive one. It touched all walks of life, not only the political aspect, in the art field, in the literary field, in the agriculture field, in the theater, and also in the science field also. Our great leaders worked and agitated and worked against the colonial masters. So there was a small chapter. Again, people have started saying that many of those chapters are to be expanded. Because of my hectic tour for the organization work, I was not able to do all chapters to be remade as a book. Now I got an opportunity to work on this, and how science, the field of science was also a field of independent struggle. How Prabhulla Chandra Ray can be considered as an independent struggle leader. How Jagadish Chandra Basu can be considered as an independent struggle leader. How Radhanath Sirkar can be considered as an independent struggle. Why I thought so is very much clear that during the colonial rule, the colonial masters have started ridicule us, sideline us, and they never considered Bharat's contribution in the scientific field as a real science. They used to call it as a pre-science. It was not actual science, it's a pre-science things. Many of them, of the matters which are being told in Bharat's scientific history is not actual science. And the great scientists and great professors are also not being considered as scientists or professors. You may be knowing, none other than Jagadish Chandra Basu was not being allowed to appointed as a professor in a college, who got gold medal in abroad. But he was not considered. Why? He is a Bharatiya. Bharatiya can never be a rational. That was their point. They continuously ridiculing, sidelining, neglecting Bharat's contribution in the science and technology. So, naturally, at that point of time, many of our spiritual leaders like Swami Vivekananda, Bhagini Nivedita, all of them started saying about this. Bharat's contribution is also to be discussed in the public, and in a way, as a part of the Bharat's independence struggle, that area is also to be shown. Our contributions are also to be showcased. Our national self-expression in science also is to be shown before the whole world. And once Nobel laureate Dr. Chandrasekhar said, this national self-expression of science, so that the West must know that Bharat, at least they are equal to us in the scientific field. So in that way, I have wrote this book, and now I am before you to discuss about that.
Thank you for that clarification, that it started as a chapter in a bigger book, and then you were, as it were, requested to expand it into a book. And that is also clear in the foreword, which has been written by Sri Suresh Soniji, which brings me to my second question, which is, you, in this book, and Soniji also, emphasize the idea of self, or swatwa, right? What is the connection between self and science, and the national self, and science, which is generally considered an international and culture-neutral human endeavor? So what is the importance of that swatwa?
See here, Swatwa or selfhood, or identity you can call it. Every nation has got Swatwa or selfhood. That is being approved by great thinkers all over the world. As a person has got its personality, every Rashtra is the apt word. There are so many untranslatables in our language. Such a word is Rashtra. Rashtra cannot be translated in the foreign language. Rashtra itself, that word itself shows that the view or the swa content of our nation. What does Rashtra means? Rashtra means one which help us to illuminate ourselves. हमारे प्रकाश बाहर आने के लिए मदद करने वाला, that cheese, that tattva, that is Rashtra. So that is why I said, in nation, that word cannot carry that much meaning in that. Another thing I have already said, every Rashtra has got its own message to deliver, its own mission to fulfill, its own duty to do for the whole world. That's our concept. In that way, Bharat has got its own Atma or Swatwa, and on the basis of that Swatwa, every field is being presented before the world and people. Without the prerana, without the inspiration of the Swa, if you are doing something, you can say that you are not Swatandra, you are not independent. The very word Swatandra means Swa plus Tandra comes to Swatandra. When you are able to apply yourself in all the field of activities on the very basis of your identity, then only you can claim that you are Swatandra. So that Swatwa, many great leaders have interpreted it in so many ways. Swami Vivekananda say that is the raison d'etre of this nation. Dinadayal Upadhyaya said that that is the chiti of this nation. And many of the great leaders have interpreted, defined this Swatwa in many ways. See, one of the greatest book written by one of the curators of this great event, JLF, William Dalrymple-ji, he wrote a book on golden rod, how ancient India transformed the world. In that, he has made a particular sentence. I am not quoting it, verbatim, but he was saying that for 1,000 years, Indian values along the golden road transformed the whole world. It created a Indosphere, a cultural zone. What is that cultural zone? What is that Indosphere? Indosphere, which has influenced the world nearby, that quality or the identity of Bharat which inspired the world on the very basis of the civilizational ethos and values, that is the Swatwa of Bharat. So every field will be inspired by that Swatwa content. That's what which I have tried to put in this book also. See, as far as science is concerned, what is it for? On the basis of Bharat Swatwa, we have defined it very clearly. In Sanskrit, it is known as Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktaye. One which liberate you, the ultimate liberty is being given to you through what will give you that liberty. That is science, that is Kala, that is Vidya or knowledge. So always when we are thinking about science, science is for the emancipation of the whole world, not for Bharat alone. In every expression of our identity carries that particular word that is known as Swarva, for all. Sarvepi Sukhinas Santu. When Bharat is thinking about the world, we think in that line that everyone will be okay. Everyone will get welfare. So we say, Sarvebhi Sukhinas Santu, Sarve Santu Niramaya. During the Corona period, when we have created, Bharat has created vaccines, we have supplied it without any cost the whole world. More than 100 countries were being supplied by COVID vaccine. And when this COVID vaccine were being sent by aircrafts, there was a writing on the outside of that aircraft, every aircraft, that is Sarve Santu Niramaya. Through this scientific achievement of Bharat, when we have created this vaccine of that quality, when we are giving it to the whole world without any cost, it was on the basis of that Swarva concept, or the whole, for whole. No one will be affected by any disease. Sarve Santu Niramaya. That is the Swarva concept, and that is expressed through science also.
So that's an interesting idea, that from Swa to Sarva is the journey of Bharat. But I wanted to sort of bring us back to this idea of the Swa for just one moment. I remember Sri Aurobindo also said that every nation has a soul, that is a unique quality. Now, some people don't agree because, after the partition, then you might say the soul of Bharat has been split. And Harry Potter fans would say yes, because the soul can actually be split and it can be hidden here and there, but we won't go into that. But the point really is that, do you think that Indian science is a little different? Because when Jagdish Chandra Bose made his experiments and proved that plants were sentient, and even metals, even metals could feel. And we do talk about the fatigue of metals today. If you look at even a very strong metal or alloy like steel, and if you overburden it or if you really stress it out too much, even metals feel fatigue. And so do you think that Jagdish Chandra Bose could think in that direction only because he was an Indian and he had a different outlook about plants and animals and the extension of consciousness to even metals and to what we would normally consider not to have consciousness? So is there a special contribution that India can make to the world of science?
Definitely. At a later note, let me quote Aurobindo again. On August 15th, 1947, he made a message to the whole world on the Independence Day. He said that maybe because of that soul cannot be divided, he said that the partition must go, will go. There is no doubt. Bharat's partition must go and Bharat will become again Akhanda Bharata. That is why Aurobindo has said that aspect also. Many may dispute, I don't know. Many may dispute in that matter. See, the Atma Amsha, Atma, the soul content, that is common everywhere. That is known as Parabrahma or that Paramatma. That is the Bharatiya thought regarding the animates and inanimates. As far as Bharatiya theory is concerned, there is no inanimate. Everything has got that Atma content. Many of you might have heard about, you definitely know about that. In Kathopanishad, one of the greatest Upanishad in our scriptures, there is a particular moment in which it has been clearly mentioned, the turn which our thinking pattern has made, that has been clearly shown in this way, that Paranjikhani Vatranat Swayambhu Tasmat Parang Pashyati Nandaratman Tasmat Parang Pashyati Nandaratman Kaschit Dhira Pratyagatmanamaikshad Avrta Chakshur Amritatvamichan. Kathopanishad shows how Bharatiya thought has taken a great significant turn, that the whole world was in search of this Satya. What is the Satya behind this living? Whole world. The Westerners also, the so-called Westerners, I cannot say that at that time this West world and East world were there. But some group of people who are thinking that matter is the basic thing, ultimate. And the Atma, Jivan, the emotions are superstructures of matter. There is a group, Bharatiya group, that the Atma is the basic and all others are created from that Chaitanya. So the first group, that materialist, they stopped their investigation or unka anveshan. They have stopped somewhere where they found something in the material world and they thought that that is the ultimate, matter is the ultimate, okay? But the Bharatiyas, they never stopped their investigation, their quest. At a particular moment, one guru, one yati, one rishi, kaschit dhira, one dhira, he turned his eyes, his indriya, towards an inner side. And he found out, that means he made an introspection. Bahar dekhne ke jagah par, he started looking inside. Kaschit dhira pratyagatmanamaikshad. There he found out that what is the main force behind this light. There he found out that thousands of Surya, that Prakasha is there inside me. That is the Atma. What which I am feeling outside, the cause of that feeling is inside me. The nada sound which I am hearing outside, the Mahanada giving the nada sound, that is inside me. That was Atma. The problem was not that. When he opened his eyes, he found that this particular Atma is everywhere. So there, scientifically proven, our quest, our experiments always say that there should be pramana. There should be anubhava pramana. And that gurus have got that anubhava pramana, and that is the truth. Everywhere that Chaitanya is there, that particular aspect has been proved in laboratory by great Jagadish Chandra Bose in that way.
In fact, this inner sciences and the science of consciousness is now being examined everywhere in the world, especially after the rise of artificial intelligence. We will come back to that, but I want to go back to the colonial period. And in your book, you talk about Swami Vivekananda and how he inspired, Jamshedji Tata. They met on the ship going from Yokohama in Japan to Vancouver, and Tata wanted to, endow and found an institute of science, but the British government was not very keen. Lord Curzon was the viceroy at that time, and he says, what do Indians need science for, right? We will, see what parts of the, Indian flora and fauna can be exploited, what natural resources can be exploited, and an enumerative understanding of the availability of exploitable goods is all that we need. We don't need to do physics and chemistry and science, botany. Though, if you remember the letter that Rammohn Roy wrote to Lord Amherst in 1823, people misunderstand it as a plea for English education. It was not. He said, we want anatomy, we want physiology, we want chemistry, we want to learn what all the West has learnt about these external and material conditions. Anyhow, so it was a big struggle to establish science in India. And I want your opinion on, this colonial interlude and the Eurocentric approach to science as opposed to the Indocentric approach, right? And how, in fact, people like Prafulla Chandra Rai, and also we mentioned Jagadish Chandra Bose already, but many others wanted to empower the freedom struggle itself through science. So my question to you, and Dharampalji has also written about this extensively, that our knowledge of, for example, astronomy was very high. There is Jai Singh here in this very pink city, Maharaja Jai Singh, has an observatory. And in mathematics, in inoculation, vaccination, there were areas in surgery. India was very highly if not advanced, really ahead, in fact, of Europe on the eve of colonialism, right?
Yes.
And then he shows how these contributions were erased. So my question to you is, when we go from, as it were, from Swa to Sarva through Satya, because you said science is Anveshana, it is an investigation into truth. So how does shifting from the Eurocentric to the Indocentric help in strengthening Indian science?
When we are talking about the greatness of our ancient science, everywhere that is in discussion, you also have said it, you can see 5 or 6 periods or particular time period wherein which this science has taken a change or transformation. In the Vedic or pre-Vedic period, that means before 1500 BC, when you go deep into Atharva Veda and all the other scriptures at that time, we could find out that every field of science, Bharat's contribution was there, that already you have mentioned. And then comes the Gupta period, and it has flourished like anything and systematized. These scientific things are there. It has also been proved beyond doubt among the great thinkers. That's the second period. And the third period, that is a pre-medieval period, you can say. At that time, it has been decentralized. That scientific aspects and scientific innovations and scientific practical field lane ka batein. So even the so-called Vanavasis, so-called Log, they have also experimented, created iron, everything was going. That was decentralization. But when we were attacked by some barbarous attackers, I don't want to name them, but they have targeted these educational centers, scientific centers, like Nalanda, Takshashila, everything, Vikramashila, everything has been destroyed. Everything. In Jammu Kashmir, Kashmir Shaivism centers were all destroyed. Their books were destroyed. And there started our downfall from there. When this colonial invasion took place, this Western colonial, the invasion happened just before this so-called European colonialist was also a colonial attack. The second phase of the colonial attack, they made it a bit more intelligently, that I have already mentioned. In the first period, they found out that something is to be taken out of it. But at particular point of time, appropriating many of the things which we have found out, they started claiming that it's all ours, name has been changed, everything has happened. And later on, they have started criticizing scientific things, our scientific achievements that I have already said. It is Dekyanusi, Anthavishwas, pre-science. So they have created such an atmosphere, such a pessimistic approach in our people also, that everything related to Bharat science is ridiculous. It is Dekyanusi, backward looking. In that situation, it came out. But it was a grand opportunity for us, I would like to say, in 1947, August 14th and 15th, midnight, that was a God-given golden opportunity to start again from where we have. I am not saying that ultimate thing were all found out by our forefathers, but it could have been started again on the very basis of our Swa. But as great Sir C.V. Raman has stated, I don't want to criticize any political leader or anything, but the dispensation came at that point of time was more Eurocentric, Anglo-centric than English people, and they started saying, the greatest scientific language ever created in the whole world, that is Sanskrit. They have started saying that Sanskrit is a dead language. I don't think that English people even dared to say so. But our own leaders started saying. That is why C.V. Raman said that inspired by Soviet ideology, we cannot achieve anything in Bharat. We have to go back to our own way and give ultimate freedom to the entrepreneurs, to the scientists, to the educationists. But you are all based upon the communal ideology. And because of that, we are going back. That was the fifth period, I would like to say. But again, I am not saying anything about politics, but from 2014 onwards, again we are going to Bharatiya Jnana Parambara, national education policy, through which we are regaining our strength. But 3-4 points, let me add. To bring in total change, I would like to say, totally de-bureaucratization of our education system is needed. Basic innovations are to be made. Bureaucrats are not, I'm not saying that all bureaucrats, see, Pavanji was here. Pavanji was an innovator also, not a mere implementer. But bureaucrats are meant to implement something. They are not meant for innovate anything. So innovators are to be given the opportunity to lead these type of things. And without any doubt, we have to go deep into our culture, our tradition, our scientific heritage, from where which think about where we can take anything from it or not. So in that way, we have to go ahead. That's the only way to rebuild our scientific world.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that coming to the post-independence period, in your book, you have cited Meghnad Saha, C.V.
Yes.
Raman, and others as criticizing Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, our first Prime Minister. And we normally think that it is he who wanted us to have a scientific temper. It was put in the preamble of the Constitution. We also give him the credit for starting the IITs, yes, and also the 5-year plans, the big, steel plants and Bhakra Nangal, which he called the temples of modern India. But we'll leave that aside, as you said. Now, my question is, in your book as well, most of the great scientists you mention in the modern period did their best work before independence. And as we were discussing earlier, the Nobel laureates of Indian origin, people like Hargobind Khurana or C. Chandrasekhar or, other people who've got, the chemist from Ramanathan from Cambridge. I mean, there's 4 or 5 Nobel laureates of Indian origin, but they've all got recognition or they've, been able to do very good work only outside India. So what do you think ails Indian science? I mean, in terms of the quantum of publications, I think we are number 3 or 4 in the world after US, China, maybe 1 or 2 other countries. So we do publish a lot of papers in science, but they're not considered very high quality. And there are not many institutes in India. In fact, there's not a single Indian institution, believe it or not, which is in the top 100 in the world. So what is it, where did we go wrong after independence? You said we had a golden opportunity. Where did we go wrong? Why are we not producing excellence in science today?
In your question itself, the answer is there. Quantum is there. Quantity is there, but quality lacks. That is the main problem which we are feeling. From a layman organizer's point of view, when I am seeing, I am also not finding any quality work which inspire the coming generation. For the problem has started right from that particular point of time, wherein which the people who are at the helm of the affairs were thinking that only the European, English, Western thought is the ultimate thought. What which we are claiming in Bharatiya thought, Bharatiya Bhasha, Bharatiya Jyotish, Carl Sagan was all praising about our Jyotisha and our time calculation. He was saying that the Hindus, he was using Hindus, it is not a religious term, Bharatiya. He was saying that they are the only people who have calculated the time in the exact way. So that was the condition. But when we got power, we again go back after them and try to implement those things in Bharat. And that great swan crow story of the Panchatantra, the crow which tried to become swan, he was not able to become swan and he was not able to come back to the crows community also. It's a great pathetic story. I do feel maybe my Upama, my Udahara example is a bit cruel, but that has happened to us. When they are saying that, okay, I do agree, the scientific temper which was been brought to our society by great Jawaharlal Nehruji was exemplary. I don't belittle it. I don't neglect it. I've heard it. It was there. But one thing which was losing was the Bharatiya concept, Bharatiya theory, Bharatiya Swatwa aspect of all this. See, what which is in our DNA, then that is to be used properly, then only we can go ahead in a proper way. Through that scientific method, we can become a great India. Take it from me. But we will not be that great Bharat. If we want to create Bharat, we have to take inspiration from our own ethos, our own theories.
So thank you so much. We're almost out of time, and I'm going to throw it open to question and answers. But I want one last answer from you or response from you on this whole challenge of artificial intelligence. And don't you think that we in India, with our, 4,000 years of study of consciousness, have something special to contribute and also to reduce the fear that artificial intelligence can take over? Can you shed some light on that?
Okay. Thank God I am not an expert in this modern AI and everything, but one thing I would like to say, that our educational concept, our Shiksha Vidya Paddhati, it never ends at the buddhi level, intellectual level. It has gone beyond that. That is what which you have mentioned, that Bodhatala or consciousness studies. That consciousness studies which were there in our Gurukulas and our education system in the beginning, start from it, clearing the whole koshas, pancha koshas clear, go deep into that chitta level. For that purpose, although our education system is to be changed, then only we can reach that consciousness level through which we can easily confront confront word may not be that correct, but face at least, face this new menace which has been created through the AI, artificial intelligence, and all those things. Here I would like to quote one single sentence from Yuval Noah Harari's 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, which he wrote, his latest book, which I have read. In that, he was mentioning about all the problems, dangers created by the artificial intelligence and all this machine learning and all those things. How some elite sitting somewhere in any part of the whole world is controlling our mind through this AI and everything. It has been elaborately described. How democracy is being challenged by the technology. How people is being challenged by the new age Siddhanta. All the 20 lessons out of these 21st lessons were explaining about all these problems. Many of you might have read that because here readers are here, book readers, book lovers. So in the 21st lesson, he started by saying this particular sentence that my readers may think that I am only projecting the problems. There is no solution. There is a solution. That is what which he says. The solution is, before some elite sitting somewhere in any corner of the world, maybe in Washington, maybe in Beijing or somewhere, control your mind, you take control of your mind. Exactly. People may think that it is so easy, but how it can be made? Yuval Noah Harari says that it can be attained through yoga and meditation. This has not been said by any Bharatiya so-called Sanatani. It was a Jew and very famous for his lifestyle and all those things. Harari has said clearly that through yoga and meditations are, it is examples. It shows the Bharatiya way. Through the Bharatiya way only, you can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In fact, Harari is a great meditator, you know. He spends more than a month in silence. He doesn't talk to anybody. Vipassana. But the important point, what Nandakumarji just said is, however intelligent machines and chips become, they can never become conscious. Consciousness is a special attribute which only living organisms, especially human beings, have. So intelligence can be artificial, but I don't think consciousness can be artificial. So that's a hopeful note on which to conclude. I recommend this book. It's available in the book signing tent. And what is good about this book, one of the many things that I liked is it brings together a lot of information in one place, okay? And I was able to read it in about an hour. So it's a very readable book, and it condenses a lot of complex and historically detailed material in one place. So thank you, Nandaji, so much for being with us. And now we have about 8 minutes for a quick Q&A. My request to you is please ask questions, no statements and no mini speeches, okay? First question to you, just to ask a question, okay?
Thank you, sir. My name is Nidhish, and as you said, starting there is going to be a provocative discussion. So my question is to J. Nandakumar ji. Slightly different from the book, but it's important because of the day today, that is 19th January, and what happened in the 19th January 1990. This is the Kashmiri Exodus Day, but where from the seeds comes into. And because this is the country who rejected Bang Bhang in 1905, and then after comes the trio of Nehru, Gandhi and Jinnah in after 1910. Then how this country accepted the partition in 1947, that what happened in the 40
Sir,
years.
excuse me.
So that's why I said that it's a day of 1990.
No, but this is out of the syllabus.
Yeah, that's why I said it's slightly different from the question.
No, please. Sure. In the end, if we have 2 minutes.
Which I would like to say, that is the Vande Mataram aspect. Vande Mataram agitation started in 1906, stretched up to 1911, defeated British, not 100%, 101%, with the strength of the Atma content of this nation, which has been manifested through Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram is the song of the soul of Bharat. That is the mantra, power-packed mantra. Here, why I am answering it is, this aspect is to be rekindled. That is the only point which I have mentioned.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I request you to confine your questions to the topic of this panel, please, and don't bring in many other things, okay? Yes.
Hello, my name is Swarnim. My question is on objectivity and subjectivity because in India, most of the universities follow the pattern which are very objective in nature. I myself graduated from a university which is in Bangalore, and I graduated in triple majors. But all the majors now are not in my way of life because they are not in India at all.
Got it.
They are only in outside India.
But
so
this
that's
is
my
a very
question.
important question. What is the relationship between the subject and the object? Because modern science is based on a separation between the subject and the object.
The Bharatiya science, right from the beginning, it is not separating it. It has already been mentioned. The subject-object duality or the binary is not there in our concept. But see, as an young student, without getting the proper education right from the beginning, it is very difficult to understand at this level. That's a problem which we are all discussing now. So if you can go deep into that oneness, I have tried to explain it. The Satya is inside me. It is there everywhere. So the subject-object, that binary or the fault line was not there. That is why we have advanced very much. That aspect is to be brought in our education system. What which pains you will be solved at that point of time. That is what which we have said. Through intelligence or intellect, we can attain to a certain level. But if you want the actual bodha, for that consciousness studies in the real way have to be started right from the beginning. That's the problem. When we are thinking about at 20 years old or 21 years old, it will be too difficult for us to catch, to digest that aspect. That's what we say.
Thank you so much. In one of the Upanishads, there is a young man just like you. He studied everything. He's got the top degrees, and he comes back. He's a little arrogant also. And then his father says, have you understood that by which everything else can be understood? So the young man says, what is it? So he says, have you understood your Atman? Because you can understand fire and metal and plants and birds and animals. So please read that Upanishad. I won't tell you its name because I'm a teacher. You're supposed to do the research and find that Upanishad and read it. Okay, thank you. Yes, the gentleman at the back, yes, who's waving his hand. Yes, sir. Can you give him the mic, please? And sir, please just ask a question and know.
Would like your advice on how we can convert the energy of the glory of our past to overcome the obsession with the criticism of the past, to invest into the future of this country so that we can get on with the task of what you are prescribing is the future and invest in it much more than the 0.5% of our GDP that we invest in research and development as opposed to 3% in other economies of this world. Thank you.
Okay, sir, your concern is very much clear and it is showing the real aspect, real things which we are facing. The problem is that till now we were not spending enough money, somewhat money, bit more money has been, we have started spending in that particular area, especially the research area. We are not satisfied with this money also. So much of attention is to be given in that field. And in that way, national education policy is with a right intent, is showing the path. And again, as a common man and ordinary person, I am also satisfied with everything which has been done or written in that. But it is necessary. Then only we can go deep into that. This young gentleman has asked that question, why he is troubled? Only because he is not able to, he was not able to learn, or his younger brother is not learning it in a proper way. In a proper way, that educational situation is to be transformed. इसलिए बहुत ज़्यादा पैसा का जो इन्वेस्टमेंट का भी ज़रूरत है, वो उस दृष्टि पर भी I think the government is thinking in that line also.
But also, please let's not forget that the private sector also should invest. There are companies in the US, a single company invests $90 billion in research, which is more than the total corpus of research funding of the government plus all the whatever other institutions. So why shouldn't the big corporations of India
Exactly.
also put in some money in research? Okay, one last question, and I want to give it to a young lady, a young girl if possible. Okay? Okay, I see a lady, and she's certainly very young. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. I would just like to ask one question. Since RSS has been pioneer in discipline education, I think so, and it has been a witness to what India was before independence and now as the years are progressing. So my question is that at that time when our culture was not holding such a high reference, then there were scientists like C.V. Raman, J.C. Bose, Ramanujan, number of them. But now, as our culture is gaining foothold outside India also, we are getting recognized. But still, we are going backwards, I would say.
We already talked about it. You're
Yeah.
repeating what was already discussed. Thank you very much.
So there is some ethos which is lacking.
Yes. We already talked about it. But
Thank you.
we are going to close this session. I just want to give Nandaji a couple of minutes to try to wrap everything up. And if he has some final message for us. No more questions. Thank you all very much. And after Nandaji has 2 minutes to wrap up, we are going to conclude this session. Thank you so much.
Just as you have said, I have already explained about that factor also. See, Sangha, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangha is working from 25 onwards. You know, it was an organization to build up the personalities, the persons, a human man-making educational process was started by Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangha, and now Sangha has got that strength in which more than 50,000 schools are being run by Bharatiya Vidya Bharati organization. And also in the scientific field also, Vigyan Bharati, working among scientists, that also is, I have just mentioned about 2 bigger organizations which are working. And still you know the fact that the system which is prevailing now, we cannot blame and you cannot run away from your responsibility. I am not running away from my responsibility, but still I am saying there is a huge block which has been made by the systems. So that is to be removed unless and until we cannot change everything. The education system is to be amulagra parivartan ki jarurat hai. Then only again C.V. Raman or Chandrasekhar or Ramanujan will be created from our land. That aspect has started. And again, in a decentralized way, you great thinkers, someone are maybe from economic fields, someone are from science, physics, chemistry. We also have to contribute to this growth. We also must come together about to create a proper plan of our progress. That's also needed, I would like to say. Anyway, I have tried to write this book and bring it before you with only one intention, that we all should think about 4 factors very clearly. The first factor, whether Bharat has contributed anything in the scientific field or not. I am not saying everything has been contributed, but was there anything that is to be thought about? And second, everything has been given by some other forces only from outside. We have to think about it, whether we have got a vision or not about the science and knowledge and everything. And we have to think seriously about the present day problems. Some of the friends have raised such problems, whether our theory, our science and our knowledge system has got anything to in solving that problems, any resolution can be made from our side. These 4 points are to be discussed for your reflection. That is the purpose of this book. Thank you. Bharat Mata Ki Jai.